Hi, welcome back to another Crypto Dave video. It's Friday, which means another crypto interest rates and news update. Today is the 24th of December 2021. And as always, we start by looking at any new coins or rate changes. And no new coins to report over the last week, but there have been some rate changes. I've updated the Swissborg kind of rates, and there have been some Celsius rate changes as well. Notably, some small increases for some of the coins, such as Matic and Synthetics Network token. There's also been a small rate rise for Celsius own token as well. So I've updated these in the last week. There will be some changes coming to BlockFi at the beginning of January. We'll talk about those in a minute, and no doubt next week we will get some notifications about any other changes that are happening for the platforms that announce them on a monthly basis, like kind of Ledden and any kind of other BlockFi changes. But moving over to look at the tokens firstly, you can see it's been a pretty decent week for Bitcoin. We had a nice step up sort of midweek, and then yesterday a nice rise back above 50,000. So we went from sort of sub 50,000 up to about 51. Currently trading at just over $51,000. So really nice to see Bitcoin ending towards the end of the year back above $50,000. I think a lot of people beginning of the year, myself included, were thinking that Bitcoin would go to $100,000 this year, and that just hasn't happened. We've had some rises up. We had big rise up obviously in the spring and a pull back down to sort of 30,000. We went back to an all-time high of about 69 and then pulled back to sort of 40. In the last few weeks we've been sort of like trading sideways, so nice to see a little bit of upward action. Hopefully the year can sort of like finish off quite strongly. Got another week to go till the end of the year, but yeah, looking for that sort of all-time high to be pushed back into sort of like Q1, potentially the end of kind of Q1, even beginning of Q2 next year now. But up 7.4%. Crypto.com has had a really good week, up 19.1%. Celsius Network up 3.6%. Nexo up 6%. Swissborg down 0.7%, and Yield up 5.1%. So Yield and Nexo broadly in line with kind of Bitcoin. Celsius slightly underperforming that, and Swissborg the worst performer this last week, but a standout performer obviously crypto.com. And then something that I said in last week's video that I would do is just look at the price changes over the last year. So within these tables here, you can see there's a 1 year price change here. So you can see Bitcoin up basically 120% over the last year. Crypto.com up over 1,000%. So by far the standout performer of the tokens that we cover here. Nexo's had a decent year as well, up 330%, and then we've got Swissborg up 134%, Yield up over 100%, just over 100%, but Celsius Network up 25.5%. Now in most assets that will be a really good year, but compared to basically anything else within the kind of crypto industry, very disappointing, and compared to its competitors, very disappointing for Celsius token price over the last year. So yeah, I think sometimes it's good to kind of like to zoom out rather than just purely looking at the kind of like the weekly prices, which I go over these, but they can swing up and down kind of wildly. You can have a great week for crypto.com and then it could drop back down. You can have another great week, and I think when we're just looking on a weekly basis, sometimes the overall trend gets a bit lost. But hopefully this will show you basically where most of the value has been created within these kind of platforms over the kind of last year, and by far the largest crypto.com, over 1,000%. So fantastic rewards, no matter how you kind of look at it. Huge number also must be said for crypto.com. Huge number of sponsorships, of partnerships. You've got the the renaming of the Staples Center and various other kind of bits and bobs there. So yeah, really interesting to see what crypto.com have been doing. He's spending a huge amount of money in partnerships and sponsorships over the last year, and be interesting to see how much that drives into adoption going forward. But yeah, just thought nice to look at a slightly longer time frame than normal for the token prices here. And then moving on to some stories. Firstly, we mentioned this at the beginning, but basically BlockFi have already announced that there will be changes on the 1st of January to some of their rates. Now these are not to Bitcoin so far, but to Ether, Litecoin, Chainlink, and Basic Attention Token. This is BAT. And basically Ether is not a rate change as such, but is a tier change, and sometimes I think that it can be a lot worse even than the rate changes. So tier 1 stays the same, 5% up to 1.5 ETH, but tier 2, which was between 1.5 and 50 ETH at 1.5%, has dropped down to 1.5 to 5 ETH. So if you're holding more than 5 ETH on the platform, you're going to be hit to a very large extent, because the rate above that, which was above 50, is now above 5 ETH, is only 0.25%. So a really big tier to a rate cut, or not a rate cut in interest, but a tier kind of cut there for Ether. Everything else is just purely APY kind of cuts for tier 1. So you've got Litecoin going from 4.75% to 3.5%, Chainlink going from 3.5% to 2.5%, and Basic Attention Token going from 3.25% down to 1%. The other tiers and rates remain the same. So a little bit of a disappointing start if you're holding those cryptos on BlockFi. Starting off in January 2022, and I'll update obviously the spreadsheet with these kind of figures and any other changes that the other platforms announce over the next kind of week. But I think there's been a general trend, obviously, I think across the industry as a whole, but specifically with kind of BlockFi. BlockFi have dropped their rates massively. It's almost like it seems they're kind of pushing away from taking retail kind of crypto and trying to make money on it, pushing heavily into their kind of credit card and commercial and sort of like business to business side of the kind of business. But yeah, it's becoming less and less profitable to hold crypto on BlockFi. It's not exclusive to BlockFi. What we, I think, have seen certainly in the last 6 months is a general lowering of Bitcoin rates across the industry, and therefore often a lot of stablecoin rates as well. But along with that, maybe an increase in times, or certainly a solid kind of like rates for stablecoins, if not rate increases. So yeah, I think this sort of like the general trend this year has been decreases in rates for Bitcoin and the main altcoins, and an increase or maintenance of the kind of rates for stablecoin. It'd be interesting to see how that plays out as we move, undoubtedly as we do over the next kind of like year or so, from a kind of bullish kind of market back into kind of flat or bearish market. It'd be interesting to see if some of those trends are reversed and we start to see increases in rates on Bitcoin and decreases for stablecoin rates. But moving on to some other stories. Firstly, Celsius have announced that their US dollar loans are now starting at $1,000. You can borrow against over 40 cryptocurrencies that are supported within the Celsius kind of platform. Now, there is a proviso here that the minimum amount may vary in certain locations, but I believe across the board, and certainly for most people using the platform, $1,000 is now the minimum for crypto-backed loans from Celsius. Now, something else they announced at the time was this special offer, so up to $75 if you took a loan basically backed by Polkadot, Matic, or 1inch by the January the 13th, and that's been expanded now. So if you did see that when it was announced, it's now been expanded. So the dates and the $500 minimum are still the same. So if you borrow $500 minimum by the 13th of January on Dot, Matic, or 1inch, you still get those up to $75, but they've extended that out to Cardano, Tezos, Synthetics, Sushi, and Luna, as well as Binance coin as well. So if you are taking a loan backed by any of those, keep an eye out for this because you may well be in for a bonus if you take it out before the 13th of January. And the tiers are here. So $500 to $5,000, $25 bonus, $5,000 to $10,000 loan, a $50 bonus, and over $10,000 loan, a $75 bonus. And the bonus will be paid out in either Celsius or BTC, depending on whether you are in the US or not. So if you are interested in taking out a loan on a Celsius, maybe take a look at those particular kind of coins to see if you are eligible for that bonus. So that's it for this year. Just one very quick one to mention lastly was, oh, excuse me, went a bit crazy, was Hodlnaut. So there will be some Fireblocks maintenance starting on the 26th of December, and it's just a sort of like a pre-warning that if you are depositing into the Hodlnaut platform, that your deposit may have a slight delay on the kind of like crediting to your account. So it should only go on for 2 or 3 hours on the 26th of December, but these things can sometimes run on a little bit more. And basically, Hodlnaut use the Fireblocks wallet infrastructure, so the funds will be received as normal, but a longer time may be needed to credit deposit into the account. So don't be alarmed if you're depositing stuff on the 26th of December and it takes a little bit longer than usual. So that's it for this episode. Thanks very much for watching as always. Hopefully you will all have a nice Christmas or holiday period wherever you are in the world. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. It's been a bit of a kind of crazy year this year, what with a kind of pandemic and lots of other things kind of going on. So I hope you're all keeping well. Hopefully I'll see you on the next video. But until then, have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.